Hey Queens. So I just watched the trailer of the new Ramayana movie that's coming out in 2026, I presume, and I have some thoughts about it. Well, most of those thoughts were kind of formed on the second rewatch of the movie because on the first watch, I was only able to focus on the fact that Hans Zimmer is part of this for some reason. You mean the same Hans Zimmer who did this and this is also doing this? Okay, sure. The score sounds amazing, by the way. Whatever they're cooking up something good. The trailer also looks really good. Visually, it's insane. The colors, the use of CGI, everything is just so beautiful. It's not much of a trailer, it's more of a teaser or an introduction, as it's called. An introduction to the tale of the Ramayana itself. There's not a lot of actual footage from the film, there's only like a few seconds. But whatever there is looks great, looks spectacular, and I'm really excited. Yes, that's right, your girl likes mythological stories, okay? I bet you didn't know that about me. Now, growing up, I really enjoyed sort of folk tales and mythological stories. I used to read a lot of them. I had like volumes of Panchatantra, stories of Krishna, and the Mahabharata. I used to read a lot of Amar Chitra Katha. That's like a deep dive. That's I bet I pulled that out of like the depths of some of your memories. So yes, I enjoy a mythological tale or two, and so I am both hopeful as well as nervous about this movie because after the trauma of whatever the hell Adi Purush was, we do not talk about it. Shh, 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 shh. It's like Voldemort, you know, for most of us, we do not speak about it. Whatever the hell that was after that traumatic experience, as well as like, what's the recent one that came out? Brahmastra? Brahmastra wasn't all that great either. Let's be honest, you guys. It sucks because I love Ayan Mukherjee and he was clearly so excited about that film and he invested a lot of effort into making it. Everyone who was on board that project was really, really excited, and so were the audience. But unfortunately, it didn't perform as well as it should have, and most of it just kind of became like meme fodder afterwards. Again, that sucks because everyone put so much effort into it, and it was gonna be like Bollywood's big, international epic film, sort of like the Bahubali RRR of Bollywood. But instead, all we remember is this.
तो शिवा 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 क्या हुआ शिवा शिवा शिवा
Yowza. But I don't think anybody was as affected or traumatized by this film not doing as well as it should have as Ranbir Kapoor. Because he lost his mind for a while after that. Yeah, I'm telling you, he lost his mind, and he in fact lost his mind so much that he walked straight onto the set of Animal. So ever since I watched this amazing movie called Tumbad, 10 out of 10 film, guys. If you haven't seen it, you must watch it. It's like a horror movie but inspired by sort of a folk tale and folklore from Maharashtra. And it's so good. It's dark, it's brooding, it's atmospheric. Sets are amazing, the costumes are amazing, the cinematography is just chef's kiss. At its core, it is a story about greed and about what greed does to corrupt the minds of human beings. But it's still so poignant and so touching and so creepy, and yeah, I cannot sing enough praises of that movie. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. 10 out of 10. But yes, ever since I saw Tumbad, I've had this sort of thought going around in my head. Why aren't there more movies and TV series inspired by our own folklore and mythology? Because it's not like we don't have it. India is a rich treasure trove full of historical tales, folk tales, mythological tales. And I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of all the stuff that is there to explore in this genre. Personally, I feel like there aren't enough movies and TV series that take inspiration from these tales, these indigenous stories of India. And as much as I adore the Mahabharata or the Ramayana, at the risk of offending a few people, I must say, I do kind of feel like these stories have been done to death a little bit. I'm sorry. Don't come for me, okay? I love these epic tales, do not get me wrong, but there are other stories that need that same kind of focus and attention, and I'm sure would appeal to like international audiences as well, in the same way that Tumba did. I know that a lot of filmmakers these days are trying to re-adapt stories such as the Mahabharata or the Ramayana because they are such tales of epic proportions, and in an age of like superhero films and epic fantasy films, these are the perfect stories to like grab the attention of international audiences and just become global sensations. And they're not wrong in doing so. If Ramayana in fact becomes successful and is done well, it's something that is going to captivate audiences around the world for generations to come. However, tales like the Mahabharata and Ramayana have already been adopted countless times in so many movies, TV series, short films, etc., etc., etc. It has just been done over and over and over again. Again, nothing wrong with that, but I just wish like we would redirect our focus a little bit to sort of the smaller or lesser known folk tales and stories in India as well. In my notes here, I wrote, no offense to fans of Lord Rama. What does that mean? You know, fun fact, when I was a kid and my grandfather would come to visit, I would make him recite the entirety of the Ramayana to me every single night, or else I would not go to sleep. That poor man must have been so tired, but he did it anyways. Shout outs to my grandpa. But anyways, I feel like that's such like a kid thing to do. Just like hold the adults in your life hostage over the most dubious reasons possible. Like if you do not narrate my favorite tale to me for the 500th time, I will not go to sleep and I will not let you rest either. Good times.
Oh my god, I didn't even talk about the Ramayana anime film that came out in 1993, I think it was. That anime impacted me so much growing up. I think it's really what made me fall in love with mythological stories in the first place. I've watched it like a dozen times in my life, and even as an adult, it like still brings me to tears. It's just so well done.
So yes, I love the Ramayana as much as the next person. But again, I feel like in trying to narrate these huge epics, there are so many smaller tales and subplots within such epics as well that we are missing out on. Like a singular paragraph from the Mahabharata or the Ramayana could become its own feature length film or its own like mini series or something. There is just so much material that could be covered or uncovered from these stories, from these epic tales. New drinking game, take a shot every time I say epic in this video. No, I'm kidding, don't do that. You will black out. Please. Within such epic tales, there are just so many side characters and subplots and stories within stories within stories. It's sort of like the MCU before the MCU, the original CU, cinematic universe.
So I didn't mention this, but like Kalki 2898 AD is also a very good example of this, of just like how dense the source material of the Mahabharata is. You can create an entire cinematic universe from just like a singular story arc. Amazing. It's just such a cool and interesting concept, and I think I'd love to see more of such stuff from Indian cinema, you know?
And as I said, personally, I wouldn't mind if filmmakers moved away from stories such as the Mahabharata and Ramayana and focused on folk tales from various parts of India as well. There are so many interesting legends from all parts of the country that, again, have yet to be explored, and I would just love to see more stories based on that. I also say this because I know that not every creator or filmmaker probably has a desire to do like a large scale Sanjay Leela Bhansali, Padmavat Bahubali, RRR style epic film with like big budget stars and full on costumes and makeup and 10,000 extras, etc. etc. Not everyone wants to do that, and that's fine. These smaller folk tales from various parts of our country would provide the perfect source material for such creators. I also like stories that creatively repackage these ancient historical stories in a way that is sort of accessible for modern audiences. One of my favorite examples is this short film called Ahalya. I saw it a few years ago. It has Radhika Apte in it. It's such a good story, so well made. The twist in the end was something I did not see coming. It's moody, it's quirky, it's atmospheric. Much like Tumbad, it sort of reimagines what an ancient mythological tale would look like in a modern context. There's also this one Hollywood film that came out a few years ago, I think, but it was about the Pishach. Let me Google what it's called.
I've written it down somewhere.
Oh, it's called It Lives Inside. Well, It Lives Inside. What do you know? It's about the Pishach. It's an Indian American Hollywood film. I don't know if it did well, if it was like a hit or a flop, but when I saw the trailer of it, I was so glad that this film was even made in the first place. All sorts of urban legends and cryptids have been turned into TV series or films around the world, but somehow India seems to be lacking behind in that aspect, even though, again, we have such a rich culture and history of these legends from all parts of the country. And before you can think such stories are not going to work in the context of like modern Indian society, etc., etc., that's not true at all. There is so much potential, and I feel like modern audiences are more receptive and more accepting of these kinds of stories than ever before. The same way that modern adaptations of Shakespeare or Jane Austen still feel fresh and interesting to us. There are so many such timeless stories from India that deserve to be made and adapted and recognized. Heck, there are still modern TV shows that are adapting like Greek mythology and Roman mythology. So why not Indian mythology, Indian folklore?
Okay, so again, bringing up anime here because so much of anime is inspired by Japanese culture and folklore, and a lot of times the references are like too niche for international audiences to understand. But it doesn't stop people from loving anime or impact the popularity of anime across the globe. In fact, what happens most of the times is that if there's a reference that is too niche for international audiences to understand, they just go and try to find out the context behind this reference and then end up learning something new about Japan or Japanese culture and folklore. Similarly, rather than alienating foreign audiences, movies and shows that take inspiration from like niche folk tales and mythology of India could inform them as well as Indian audiences of so many interesting indigenous legends. Personally, I'd like to see more stories featuring the cryptids of India, like give me a movie about this guy. You know it's gonna be fire.
All in all, I am very excited for Ramayana to come out. I really hope it does well, because if it does, it could carve a path for more filmmakers to do stories inspired by our culture, inspired by our history and our folklore. And wouldn't that be just epic? Oh hey, if you made it to the end of the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and follow me on all socials. Thank you for listening to my yapping. Unfortunately, I will be back to do it again. And when I do, I hope to see you there. Okay, bye!